Well, hello there. It's been a little bit. And what better way to get back into the swing of things than giving a bank update to kick off 2024? It's that time of year where everyone is showcasing off their banks, and I thought it'd be fun to jump in on the fun while talking about how I got my bank to go from 500 mil to about 4 bill in just about a year. If you're here strictly for the plans that I have for 2024 in this game, you can skip to this timestamp, but for the rest of you, let's go ahead and walk through the bank. As I'm recording, Leagues 4 has just ended, and because of that, prices of items are all over the place as players are moving back into the main game and buying off all the items they have left and right. Regardless, I think the bank value given to us in RuneLite is still a great base to start this conversation, so let's go ahead and look at the bank as it stands today and compare it to screenshots that I have from the very first video. Like I mentioned, the bank value is at 4 bill. If we pull up a screenshot of the first video uploaded, we can see that one, I was terribly unorganized and I still really am, but it also shows that I started making videos with a bank value of 553 mil. So in the last year, we've seen a 3.5 bill-ish growth in the bank value. The key items that I had in the first video that really defined my bank back then were the Bando set, the Crystal set, the Face Guard, the Dragon Hunter Lance, and the Dragon Claws. Life today is just a little bit different, and the bank went through a massive overhaul on organization, at least for the first two tabs, and where I prioritize all my money. So let's go ahead and jump into the bank one at a time. No, I have not cleaned out this thing, and I still really need to, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm lazy when it comes to cleaning this thing out. Getting into things at the very first tab, this is where I just have a bunch of random essentials like cash, teleports, runes for whatever I may need, and a bunch of odds and ends kind of items. To be honest, this is the tab I live in most of the time regardless of what I'm doing. I just come to the bank and always open up to this tab and I dump my inventory here, so there's quite a bit of random stuff that kind of just collects at the bottom. So while this is not the most important tab, I do spend a ton of time in it as I'm just constantly cleaning it out as new drops come in. The one that everyone wants to actually see though is the gear tab. This tab has of course seen the biggest growth out of everything else in the bank and is where majority of my GP is currently at. First we have the full Ancestral and Mage setup, then we have a Bandos and just a simple melee setup, and then a range build with Arma. Pagations are typically the first item that comes in and out of my bank the most often as the grind dictates, so right now that money is in the Dragon Hunter Lance again for a future grind. Other than that, we have the rings, Void, some God Swords, and just a bunch of miscellaneous gear. In terms of the series itself, the goal is to improve my skills and hunt down 4 items, as I mentioned in almost every intro, and that of course is the T-Bow, the Shadow, the Elysian Spirit Shield, and the Scythe. As of right now, I have 2 of those 4 items, those being the T-Bow and the Shadow, so just by pure luck and grinding, I managed to get the most expensive items out of the way first, which I cannot be happier with. I mean, just taking these 2 items out of the bank, you can quickly see the value drop a lot, and yeah, that's where 90% of my GP is at. Up next, we have the potion and herb tab, and it's a bit of a mess the further down you go, but I would say that majority of those potions, at least right now, have some importance to me. And it does seem like I need to restock on a couple of them. Anyway, I'm still on the herb grind, so any secondary or just plain herb drop that I get is going to be dumped into this tab, and I'd probably spend more time in here than I'd like to admit, as I am trying to get some skilling done here and there whenever I have the mental power to do so. Moving on to the next tab, and this is the one I hate talking about the most. It's by far the most unorganized junk tab that I have, and it probably makes your eyes hurt watching it. But this is where I keep all my skill capes, my random unlocks, some clue required items, and you kind of get the idea. It's just kind of like my catch-all thing. It's very rare that I ever jump into this tab, and because of that, I hope to clean this out sooner rather than later, so don't judge me too hard yet, as I do have a plan to get rid of all this stuff. Moving on, I have a farming tab, and it is very, very simple, as you can clearly see. This is pretty much everything that I farm right now. There's a ton of seeds that I have at the farming guild and the vault over there, and I will snag a couple of things from time to time from that vault, but majority of the time I'm just doing tree runs. So this is pretty much all that I rock when I go to a farming run, and such. My tab is going to be pretty simple for that. Up next, we have the skilling and rewards tab. So mining, woodcutting, fire making, thieving, fishing, pretty much everything that you can think of kind of lives here. This is another spot that I have to check somewhat often to make sure that a lot of junk items or just massive stacks of resources aren't just sitting here, which looking at it, there's quite a bit here that I need to clean out again. But overall, this tab does see quite a bit of use for grabbing gear and items that I need while I'm working on the maxing grind. When I finally do max, this tab will quickly get dissolved and never appear again. Everything's going to be stored away in the player-owned house, but for now, I find myself just randomly grabbing like a mining set and just go mining for like an hour or something random like that as I find time that I'm able to do something. But yeah, that's this tab, and the last one is very simple. It's a fresh looting tab. But when I make longer videos on boss grinds like the 1000 KC I did at the Whisperer, all the loot ends up here and it makes my life just a little bit easier when I go to the GE and sell everything off. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So you may be wondering how I got to this point. So let's take a look at my videos that I've created thus far, and the two standout videos that really showcase how my bank grew to what it is today are going to be the TOA grind, which is the second video I released, and the 1000 KC loot that I did at the Whisperer, which was number 11, I think. I personally love the TOA grind enough that I did the 500 solo challenge with it, and without a doubt this raid has rewarded me with by far the most amount of money out of everything else that I've done in the game. The goal of that video was to do nothing but lock myself to TOA for a full month and slowly work my way up from doing like the entry level to doing expert level solo. When I finally did get to the expert level, I sent 100 completions and I ended that video with 5 purple pulls, one of which being of course the Shadow. So just right there, that's half my bank value in just one video. The Whisperer video is the other boss that I grinded out that gave me the most amount of money as like a single goal that I set myself to go complete. And when I did this grind, the Whisperer and all the Desert Treasure 2 bosses were brand new, which helped out a lot as the uniques were beyond expensive since no one had them in the game yet. And I ended that video with 581.2 mil thanks to 2 Virtus Road drops and 3 Visages. Now there is an honorable mention that I have to put in here. Right before the Whisperer grind, I did some testing out in the Streamer Lux video, and I did send a few TOA runs with some buddies and ended up pulling a second Shadow in my name, which worked out to be a 700 mil duo split. So yes, technically TOA has done 90% of the heavy loading when it comes to boosting up my GP value, but I do like to mention that the Whisperer grind did give me a ton of money outside of just focusing on TOA. So by getting the Shadow itself, a Shadow split, and 500 mil from the Whisperer, that's where majority, if not all of my money has come from. Of course, I have other videos that have gotten a few hundred mil if I combine them all together, which would make up anything else that you see here. Now in terms of level progression, there's not much that needs to be said. Majority of my stats have not changed pretty much at all, and that's going to be the main focus point moving forward. The total level has gone up 33 levels, with the biggest jump being Thieving, which I've gone from 82 to 96. Everything else has seen maybe a level or 2 of progress, so overall nothing's really changed here. The biggest change, however, has been in combat tasks. Thanks to documenting so many random things for my videos, I know that I started off this channel with 96 combat tasks completed, where today I sit at 282, so I'm still way a ways off from the Zuk Helm, which I still have no intention of grinding out, at least for right now, but I would say that's a pretty big milestone in progression as far as showcasing my skills has gone. Outside of combat tasks, grinds like TOA, Cox, God Wars, and pretty much everything else that I have uploaded really do put my skills to a test and makes me confident in the goals that I'm going to be setting myself for the new year. So what exactly are those? In general, it's going to be largely the same as from a viewer side. I still have so much content that I need to grind out and actually even attempt at this point. I'm talking like Chambers Xeric hard mode. I've never been to Theater of Blood. Man, I still have the Infernal Cape that I'm missing, and of course the 2 items that I mentioned in every one of my intros. So the Elysian Spirit Shield and the Scythe, I'm still going to need to grind out almost 2 bill worth of coins just to get those. So in the future, I'm going to be focusing on getting more raids done, like the challenge mode Cox, and eventually get over to TOB. There are some other bosses that I would love to tackle as well. Like the first one that comes to mind while recording is the Nightmare. I know not a ton of people enjoy this boss, but I've never even been there and I don't really know what it's about. So that's just another aspect of the game I've never touched and I'd love to get good at. Another one would be like Zolcano. Like right now, I don't even know where that boss is even located at, let alone how to do it. And I think it'd be fun to jump in and try that out for a little bit. There are of course the Wildy bosses that I really haven't spent like almost no time at, considering I did all of my combat achievements at the Solo Plus area and nothing in the actual multi-combat area, and I'd love to spend some time there. Maybe learn some anti-PKing strategies and, lose a bunch of money while trying to do that. So outside of being able to take on every oddball boss that's in the game and being able to do all the raids, while finally taking up the Infernal Challenge again, the last goal I have is to finally max out this account. Something about only getting 30 skilling levels just didn't sit right with me as I looked over the actual progression in terms of stats, and I really want to change that. Of course, I'll always take a new look at each of the new updates that come out, like I think Valimore is supposed to come out at least sometime soon, because who doesn't like watching a noob struggle through all the new content that comes out, so you guys know what to expect. And as for that, I think that pretty much covers it. That's the plan for 2024. I hope everyone enjoyed this fun, off-style video from the main account series. I had a lot of fun making and planning out what I want to achieve in this next year, and I hope I can make it happen. If any of you guys have some fun challenges or some fun goals that you'd like to see me take on, let me know down in the comments. I look forward to seeing all the crazy things you guys come up with, but in the meantime, I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Thank you for checking out the channel, and good luck on your grinds. As always, stay inspired. See you guys soon.